Hey everyone! So, what if I told you there's a new AI on the block that's not just a little bit cheaper, but could be 200 times more affordable than the giants like OpenAI? Today, we are diving deep into Kimi K2.5, a model that's making some seriously bold claims that could completely shake up the AI world as we know it.
And yeah, that brings us to the biggest question of all, doesn't it? Are we watching the beginning of the end for these super expensive, closed-off AI models from the big tech companies? Well, there's a new challenger in the ring, and it's basically shouting that the answer is a resounding yes.
Okay, let's just get right to the headline number because it's just staggering. The team behind this new AI says it can deliver performance that goes toe-to-toe with the best in the business, but for 200 times less. And no, that is not a typo. 200x. This isn't just a small step forward. This could be a revolution in who gets to build with powerful AI.
So let's properly introduce this new disruptor. We're talking about Kimi K2.5. It's an AI model from a company called Moonshot AI, which, by the way, is backed by some huge players like Alibaba. It dropped in January 2026, and it's coming to the table with a totally different game plan.
Kimi's whole vibe is just different. First off, it's fully open source, which is a massive deal in a world dominated by lockdown systems. It also has what's called native multimodal capabilities, which is a fancy way of saying it was built from day one to understand both text and images. And, of course, there's that bold claim that it can hang with the best of them.
So the big question is, how? How on earth is this possible? How can a model be that much cheaper and still claim to be a top performer? Okay, let's get into the tech, the secret sauce that makes Kimi tick, because this is where it gets really interesting.
The first piece of the magic is something they're calling agent swarm technology. Now imagine this. Instead of one super smart AI trying to figure out a problem one step at a time, you have an orchestra conductor directing 100 specialist AIs, or sub-agents, all working on different parts of the problem at the exact same time.
And this right here shows you exactly what I mean. The old way is sequential. You do task A, then B, then C. Kimi's way is parallel. The whole swarm attacks the problem at once. This lets it blast through complex workflows a claimed 4.5 times faster. It's a total shift from thinking in a straight line to thinking all at once.
The second trick up its sleeve is its architecture. It's what's known as a mixture of experts model. The best analogy is an F1 pit crew. You've got this huge team of specialists, but you're only calling the tire guy when you actually need to change a tire, right? Kimi has a massive 1 trillion parameters ready to go, but for any specific job, it only activates the 32 billion it actually needs. The result? A jaw-dropping 96.8% reduction in the amount of computer power it uses, and that is the secret to its insane affordability.
But wait, there's more. Because it was trained on both text and images right from the start, it's naturally multimodal. It can write code just by looking at a picture or even a video of a user interface. Plus, it has a huge 256,000 token context window. To put that in perspective, that means it can read and remember the contents of a 400-page book in a single go.
Okay, so we know the tech is super impressive, but how does it really stack up against the reigning champs, GPT-4 and Claude Opus? Let's get to the main event, the head-to-head comparison.
At a high level, you can really see the two different philosophies here. You've got the old guard, proprietary, expensive, thinking one step at a time. And then you have the challenger, Kimi, open source, incredibly cheap, and built for parallel processing. It's just two completely different ways of looking at the future of AI.
And when you look at the raw data, the differences really pop. We've talked about the cost, that's obvious. But look at that open source row. A big yes for Kimi and a no for everyone else. And its agent swarm capability is something totally unique that you're just not going to find in the same way with its competitors.
But let's just pause on that cost for a second, because this chart says everything. To process 1 million tokens, which is kind of the basic unit of work for these models, it'll cost you just 60 cents with Kimi. With GPT-4, $30. That is, it's not even in the same ballpark.
So what does this actually mean for you, for real-world projects? Well, if you're a startup or a developer building a new AI app, this completely changes the math. A monthly bill that would have been $9,000 suddenly becomes $310. This could just unleash a whole wave of innovation that was way too expensive to even think about before. It's about democratizing access to this incredible technology. But of course, no model is perfect. It's not all sunshine and roses.
To give you the full story, let's break down a balanced scorecard where Kimi absolutely crushes it and where the big guys still have the upper hand.
Kimi's advantages are pretty clear, and they are powerful. Number one, obviously, is that extreme cost efficiency. Then there's the open source freedom, which means you're not locked into one vendor and you can host it yourself for privacy. It also wins on certain benchmarks for its ability to complete tasks. And its memory, that context window, is double what ChatGPT offers.
On the flip side, the giants are still ahead in some really important areas. They have much more polished, easy-to-use interfaces for people who aren't developers. Their simple monthly subscriptions are way better for people who just use AI once in a while. Some tests show they still write slightly better English prose, and, this is a big one, they have all the grown-up enterprise features like admin controls and security tools that big businesses need.
So, that brings us to the final and probably the most important question. With all of this in mind, how do you actually decide if Kimi is the right tool for you and what you're trying to build? Let's just cut to the chase. Who is the perfect user for Kimi K2.5? And who is probably better off sticking with the big names, at least for now?
You should be looking very seriously at Kimi if you're a developer or a startup building a product that uses AI. If your app chews through massive amounts of data, the cost savings are just a no-brainer. If you need to host the model yourself for privacy reasons, or if you want to automate really complex multi-step workflows, Kimi was basically built for you. On the other hand, you should probably stick with the established players if you're not a technical user and you just want a simple, easy-to-use chat box. If you only use AI here and there for personal stuff, a simple subscription is just easier. And if you work at a big company that needs all those compliance and admin tools, the incumbents are still the more mature, safer bet.
So we'll end with this thought from the source material, which I think sums it up perfectly. Kimi K2.5 isn't just another model on the pile. It represents a potential paradigm shift. It points to a future where world-class AI isn't just in the hands of a few giant corporations, but becomes a fundamental tool that any builder, any creator, anywhere can use to invent the future.
Subscribe for clear, practical insights on modern software development. No hype, just real engineering.